Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here. This is a live webinar that we like to offer every week to small business owners. Just a chance to maybe get your questions answered, talk about some of the latest trends, not only in marketing, but really what's going on in technology and ways to leverage technology to get more leads to build your business. My name is Charles C. Gaines, and I like to give this opportunity once a week for us to get together and just chat a little bit. It's a casual setting. I will make a little presentation. I'll try to bring something to the table, but hopefully you get a chance to take a little time during your lunch hour, maybe catch up on some stuff, ask some questions. And so feel free to use the chat. Let me know you're here. If you would, let me know where you're from. If you would, punch that like button, do all the stuff that makes the algorithms work. That would be a big help. And if this is something you want to keep going, let me know, and we will certainly do that. You can send topics that we can cover, and I'll be glad to do that. So let's just get started. I want to be very mindful of your time. This may go about 30 minutes or so, but I'll stick around if there's any questions, anything you want to get a hold of me about. I'll be happy to answer those questions. So let me begin by just kind of setting the stage in that, I'm a small business owner just like yourself. I've got several businesses that I own and operate, and it keeps me super busy, especially this time of year. It's that weird dichotomy of business being a little dead in some industries, but also just being super busy. Just feel like there's not enough of you to go around. So let me go to the bottom line. Rather than having this presentation and have it build to some big climax to make a pitch to you, let me just get out of the way the bottom line. I do, again, have my own agency. I've spent the last 35 years building brands, building companies, and basically helping companies just like yourself tell your story. So to that end, let me go ahead and kind of put out there what we do. We can really be a full service agency if necessary. I've tried, especially in the last couple of years, to get a little more specific in some of the areas, specifically in video. And we'll talk a little bit about that this afternoon, but we can certainly help with websites and Facebook, anything that's helping to tell your story. It's just a matter of different channels. I started out old school agency, and we did print, and we did billboards and ads and that type of stuff. So I cut my teeth back in the late 80s on that. And it's just evolved. Just how we tell the story has changed. So yes, we can handle all this kind of stuff here. We do a lot of office monitor stuff, which is great, and email and direct mail, that kind of stuff. And the challenge is to figure out what's working. I was spending some time with one of my clients the other day, and we were just talking about how tough it is. And what we're finding is very few things are really working. And I would say that's a little too broad. I would say that there are definitely things that are working, but they're working at different levels, and they're working for different reasons. And so I think more than ever, just like anything, you've got more channels and more ways to try to reach people. It's just diluted the message, it's diluted the market. So I think more than ever, you've got to have good relationships and good teams put together to find out, based on your niche, based on your market, based on who you're going after, where's the best place to go fishing? Where's the best place to find those people? And always be cognizant of building deep as opposed to just wide. So, obviously we've got to get leads in the door, but we want to get those leads as warm as possible. Okay. So that we can make the best use of when we get their attention. The attention span is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I don't know how much smaller it can get. But we've got to be very cognizant of how to get to them quickly in the lane that they're looking. So, to that end, we can handle kind of the macro, if that's what you're looking for. The way we price our services is on a monthly basis. We have some packages that range from $1,000 to $3,000 a month, and we can customize what comes in those packages. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of the same stuff. It's our time, and it's about volume. So we can get into that more if you want to. One thing I want to bring to your attention right now is something that I'm finding really move the needle, and that is I tell my existing customers and potential customers, look, what's moving the needle right now is video, and I'm going to share with you how we take that effort and multiply it 10x. But I tell people, look, if you've got an iPhone in your hands and you've got 30 minutes to give me, we can create meaningful content that can definitely move the needle. Okay. So to that, I've got a little package that says, look, if you can do that, if you just want to take some baby steps, or you just want to figure on maybe once a week, we can do something like this to kind of get you started. You don't have to go make a big commitment to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. But that's where customers that are really getting sales, regular sales and growing deeper, or, they get to where they definitely want to continue to spend that money because they're seeing that result multiply. But really, just to get started, if you've got a real small business and you got a super small budget, but you got to have good quality content, this is a great way to start. And so what we've been able to do with the technology now is, because you've got an iPhone, I can give you an app and we can connect just like we're connecting now. And I can literally coach you through a recording. So we can actually do the recording without having to go remote, go on site, bring all the cameras, bring all the lights, bring all the sound. Been able to actually direct a shoot remotely. So let me give you an example of one that we did a couple of weeks ago, and I'll just show you how it turned out. Okay. This was done completely remotely and just with an iPhone and right on site for the customers. Okay.
Hey everybody, it's Jason here with HydroFin, and I am super excited to announce that we are going to have a live webinar on Tuesday the 21st at 7:30 Central Standard Time. And what we're going to be talking about here is really kind of the benefits that you get out of the system. So what to expect if you were to purchase a HydroFin system with your boat. We're also going to be talking about the future of HydroFin. We've got some new exciting products that are coming out here in 2024. And finally, probably most importantly, is we're going to be answering your questions. So be thinking about what questions you've got for us, and we're going to be taking those live. So if you've been thinking about HydroFin, now is the time to buy, because we are offering the biggest discounts that we will through the entire year. And the promotion code that we're going to offer for this seminar is going to add on top of that. So don't wait, don't delay. I promise you, these are the biggest discounts that we're going to offer for the year. So we look forward to seeing you there.
So yeah, pretty cool, huh? So I want you to see that for several reasons. One, I want you to know what can be done in a very short period of time with very minimal equipment. Okay, again, shot was just about 30 minutes or so using an iPhone. We were able to take that footage and do our magic with it and create good quality content. And as we get into this a little bit more, you'll start to get a better feel for how much easier it is than you may have thought. Okay, but that's a great way to get started, doing that kind of remote recording and just doing small segments like that. In that case, we obviously promoted a webinar, and I want to talk to you about how powerful that can be. So with that in mind, and kind of get that out of the way, that's how I make my living. I've got lots of happy clients, and would love to discuss the possibility of your situation if you're interested. If you're watching this live or if you're watching this on recording, I definitely want to give you the ability to come back and follow up if you want to. You can just shoot me an email and say, hey man, I saw the broadcast. I'm interested in that thing, or I'm interested in that thing, but I don't quite know where to get started. We can do that. But what I want to do with the rest of our time today is kind of give you a gift for taking your time to watch this. And that is, I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm seeing in the marketplace as a regard to what's moving the needle to build a brand, to get qualified leads in, and really maximize your time. I think the title of today's talk was The Power of Video and How to Clone Yourself. And I truly believe you can do that. So that's kind of what I want to spend the rest of our time together here at lunch to do. So let me give you 3 overarching tent posts. Okay. This is what I want you to walk away from this with, is that the goal is to get more leads, but not at the expense of more of you. Okay. Everybody's pitching that. They're pitching, hey, just a little bit of money, and we'll get there. Just a little bit more of your time and we'll get there. And we've all been pulled in. I'm pulled in by that. I get, approached by some piece of software or some service, and I'm just thinking in the back of my day, I know I've got to do something different. I know I got to figure out a way to get more leads in, but I just don't have any more bandwidth. I don't have any more time. I don't have any more resources, and I certainly don't want to waste any more money. So again, the goal is going to be, how can we run it through this filter that says it's going to be more leads, more possibility for business, but actually less of me. Now you're talking. So I truly believe there's the best way to clone yourself is with the power of video. Now we'll talk a little bit about AI, and that is definitely part of the equation, but these are still the early days of that. And I know there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I'm happy to help answer any questions. We definitely are doing a lot of that right now, but I want to focus today primarily on video. And there's AI involved in just about everything. Second thing is going to be how to leverage technology. I mean, that's kind of the Captain Obvious statement of the day, but it's a given now. You can't continue to operate your business without it. And so I'm not talking about just the basics of software. We're way beyond that. I'm talking about automation. I'm talking about all these different platforms. And that's half the struggle for a business owner, is sorting through all the different platforms. And just when you commit to one and learn it and get it integrated, another better one comes along. And it's extremely frustrating. But it's a necessity. It's something that cannot be avoided. And whether it's going to be the use of AI, which if you're not seeing it already, we're seeing a duality happening. We're seeing there's the tease of AI itself. Hey, go look at Chat GPT and see what you can do. Put in a question. It's the HAL from 2001. It's the computer from the Starship Enterprise to be able to ask a question and get anything you want. We're there, and it's going to continue to get better. But then there's the ability for AI to enhance all of the applications that we're already using. And you're probably already seeing that on the platforms. Any company that's worth anything is going 100 miles an hour to figure out how can we put more AI tools in the software we already have. So it's just going to continue to make those decisions even more difficult and challenging, for sure. But as I mentioned before, I really want to focus on the power of video today, how it's helping my clients and how it can help you. So the third one is, in addition to those first two, we want to increase value. And that's really twofold. If you're looking to build your business to a point to where you want to eventually pass it on to your family or to sell it, that's one part of it. And so the things that we want to be investing in now need to have that goal in mind. I want to increase that value, so when I do sell it, that value is 5, 10, 12x of what I put in. But secondarily, you want to be able to increase the value for now so that your profitability will be something that you can continue to maintain. Basically, you want to create a strong enough brand and a strong enough value in that brand, in that company, that you can set yourself apart from the competition. All the forces are pushing to commoditize everything, even what you do. And you say, well, no, what I do is so unique. Nobody can do it, or I do it. There's something to be said for that. But if you were to step back in the macro and realize that we're all replaceable, that how do we work on things that can allow people to know us? For instance, where I'm going with this is, in this particular subject, we want to create enough content that is in the mainstream of their life that they know you. They've already gotten to know you. They've not only got their questions answered, but they've gotten to know you a little bit. So by the time they get to you, by the time they walk in their showroom, by the time they click on your website or contact somebody, they're already there. They just need to kind of consummate this and move forward. So with that overview and with that tease, hopefully you're interested to proceed. If you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If not, I'm just going to kind of plug ahead, and if I don't get to your question, we'll try to catch that a little bit later. But please do make sure you hit the like button and pass this on to somebody if they could benefit. All right. So again, this goes back to the power of story, and that's really the superpower that I want you to think about right now. So I want to remind you what you bring to the table that's better than anything you got. Okay. I know we all struggle with feeling like, do I have it? Do people like what I want? I have, can I keep up with the competition? At the end of the day, it's still, in terms of your company, you still are the best asset to your company. You can hire great people, and you have to hire great people. But most of us struggle with getting what's in our brains and in our heart and our passion into the people we hire. into the people that represent us. So how do you duplicate yourself? How can you do that? Because when you know at the end of the day, you're probably still the best salesperson. You're probably the best admin person. You're probably the best banker. You're all, whatever that role is, you're the best one. And so how do you duplicate yourself? And how do you create more of yourself to live on when you can't be there all the time? And the answer to that is content. Almost all of you have a website. You've got your social media platforms. You've tried spending money on pay-per-click, the SEO thing, and you've had some things that have been positive and some things that have been disasters, and you get excited and you spend thousands of dollars and you get no results. And you haven't really built anything. That's the other thing. You're back to square one. I want you to think about how you can create content that can be usable and valuable now, but more importantly, can be valuable later on. It's like, it may not be the best analogy, but it's like writing songs. The beauty of writing songs is they're evergreen. They may not be popular today, but they're going to outlive you. And at some point they may get hot and people are going to be finding it when you're on vacation, and they're going to hear that song, or they're going to see that content and learn about you. So what we've got to do is sit down and think about what are the stories you can tell, and these stories that are really going to move the needle. People are already being bombarded with stories. So in a minute, when I show you some of the statistics, you'll kind of connect the dots. But what I'm talking about, and this is to help address that feeling, that voice inside of you that says, you got to understand, I don't create content. I don't know how to create content. I'm not good on camera. Don't ask me to be on camera. I'm not creative. I just build and sell. I do what I do. That's fantastic. That's what people need. We want to find people that need what you do. So what you do have, and it's out at your fingertips, is what's going on in your brain. That's what's valuable. Okay. If you are in the floor covering business, if you are in the health and wellness business, if you are in the real estate business, there's too much information to keep up with it at all. Okay. You know that to be true. There's way too much information to keep up. So you got to find somebody that's an expert. Everybody's always going to need a guy. Everybody's always going to need a gal. So you've got those stories. The question is, which stories are the best stories to tell? So we're talking about things that are going on in your industry. We're talking about new services that you're offering, new ways that you're doing things. Again, customer testimonials. Can't emphasize that enough. The products and service, the education piece of this, there's a value to you creating content just to help save time and move your processes forward. How much time and effort and money do you spend on educating your own people to say, this is how we do things? How much time and effort do you spend after you've gotten the sale to get people to do what you need them to do? Whether it's product maintenance, whether it's warranty work, whether you're a practitioner and I do a lot of work with the chiropractic industry. And one of the big challenges is they come in, they get the treatment, they leave, they come back in a week or two, and they haven't done the exercises. They haven't read the stuff, whatever it is that you need them to do outside of the office to help them get to the goal they want. They're not doing. There's a way to help with that. If you can be present by, hey, I've got all these videos I've already shot. They're on our YouTube channel. Hey, let me send you this link. Hey, we've got a patient platform. If you come do business with our company, we have a platform that allows you to go on and you have access to everything you need. That's the world we're living in. That's the expectations, and that's where we're headed. Okay. So any of these things are things you can create content about. And again, once you create them, not that they're not going to change over time, but they'll have some longevity. You can create all sorts of videos and you've got them in the can for months and even years. They can hold on depending on, how relevant the information is, if it's very variable. And finally, your personality. You'll be able to communicate a little bit about yourself, and it goes back to being able to clone yourself. So with that in mind, this is all the kind of stuff that we do with that content. You say, well, okay, we've got all that stuff, but what are we talking about? We just talk about a YouTube channel? What? No, we're talking multiple platforms, and we're talking about multiple distribution. I mean, if you took this and you turn the clock back, it would be, okay, we're going to do some stuff in the newspaper, and we're going to do some stuff, on a billboard, and we're going to do some stuff on radio. now the channels have just changed. So we're talking about, educational videos. We're talking about the actual content we're doing and the channels we're using them. And so from this slide, you can see there's lots of different ways to deliver this. Okay. Whether it's, you've got a waiting room area and you've got those monitors. We all sit in the waiting room, waiting for the doctor, waiting for the oil change. It's an opportunity to communicate and upsell. Right now, webinars and broadcasts are hot as a pistol. Okay. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking a little time out of my day during lunchtime to basically communicate with whoever's out there, whoever I can, say, hey, can you pass this link along? Hey, can you jump in the webinar? And quite frankly, we're seeing a lot more companies offering leadership and a very easy platform. They call it open office hours. If you're not taking advantage of that with your vendors, you should ask them, hey, do you guys offer open office hours? What's that? That's you guys being available online to answer my questions. We've got more information than we've ever had. And it seems like we got less and less access to the answers, whether it's, I get frustrated if I go to a website that doesn't have live chat. I'm usually out of there because I've got a question I need to answer quickly. And this is another way. If I know that once a week, sometimes I don't pick a software platform unless I know I can get access to the decision makers or the answer keepers to say, okay, I'm going to be there and I'm going to get my question answered. I want to be able to talk to somebody. So webinars are great for that. And the other beauty about a webinar is again, every time you do this, you're creating content. So let's say we go online for an hour, 30 minutes to an hour it's one of the things we help do is we help companies produce these webinars. And so not only are you able to go out and get people to register, so you've collected names, emails, and phones in a lot of instances. So now you've got that information. Even if they don't show up, you've now collected that information so you can market to them. Then when they do show up, you can engage with them. You get to hear from them, therefore improve your product and your services. But don't forget, you've now created content. So this webinar that we're doing right now, this live stream, it'll be recorded. People can catch it, on demand later, which is how we all live our lives now anyway. So it lives on. But now I can take clips from this. And so like right now, I just hit a button that hit a bookmark that tells my software, this is important. Be sure and go back later, grab that clip and make a 30-second short for social media. That's what you're seeing other people doing. There's the long form format. Then there's the short form. Okay. It's the short form that's like chum in the water. It's like throwing out free samples. It's about catching people at the checkout line. It's getting them in the stream of their life and they get 30 to 60 seconds of you and they want to know more. So they either go to your website or they go to the long form content or both. Okay. That's how it works. That's the way the model works. So we're creating raw materials for other products later. Okay. That end up being things that show up on our monitors in our office or our warehouse or wherever. And again, think about this. These are monitors that can show up anywhere. They could be on the floor for your people. And all of a sudden things are rotating and you're educating your staff on here's what we're pushing this month. Hey, here's how to answer this question. Did you know this? By the way, here's a word from the owner. I mean, you could do training in real time while they're on the job. I mean, that's how we're learning anyway. We're all listening to podcasts while we're doing other things. So we're learning on the go. So that's nothing new. So don't forget that utility as well. But we're talking about stuff that can go out on social media, the shorts that you're seeing, interviews and testimonials, educational videos, that kind of stuff. Okay. While I'm doing that, let me just show you real quick. I've got a clip here of how we took, let's say we shot an hour-long podcast. Okay. Got a lot of people podcasting now. Excellent way to do this. Okay. But it's the same principle, whether we're doing a live stream, whether we're podcasting for, long-term play, we're creating content. So we got an hour's worth of footage and it can be, consumed that way, or it can be consumed in little chunks. So here's what, not only just showing the clip, but doing some post work with it, something like this. Let me pull this up and let you see what I'm talking about here.
So autism doesn't just impact the child, it impacts the whole entire family. It doesn't just impact Colby, it impacts you, it impacts your wife, it impacts siblings, it impacts grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole family. When we talk about different treatments, we talk about how we're going to treat that child, but we really need to look at how we're going to treat the whole entire family.
So boom, just like that, we took that clip out of a hour-long interview podcast and added some more production value. And we've got a little mini trailer that really gets people's attention. So that's the kind of stuff that we do, but that's the stuff that can be done. So the gift I want to give you is to kind of let you think about that a little bit. I know you're really focused on what you're doing and you're just doing everything you can to meet payroll. In addition to all the family commitments you have this month. But if you get some time during the holidays and you're thinking, okay, the new year's approaching, what am I going to do different? I want you to think about some of these things. I want you to think about your story. I want you to think about how you're communicating and are you leveraging your time better? Can you duplicate yourself? Can you use video to do some of the things that we're talking about today? This is a slide that just reiterates what we're trying to do. Our goal is to find and educate and connect with customers who are already sold on you. And that's two-part. It's important that they're already sold. Obviously, that alone is worth doing. But most importantly, sold on you. Is some of your effort going to be, well, hey, I'm going to put all this effort and educate people, and then they're going to go buy from somebody else? Absolutely. Hello, they're doing that already. Okay. They're doing their due diligence. Whether they were doing it before in different ways and calling around and visiting around, or whether they're doing that now, surfing the web. Okay. They're still doing their due diligence. And sure, lots of times they do that. This goes back to the value thing. What you don't want is to get to where you're identical to everybody else and they just see you as a commodity. They want to go, that's that guy, that's that gal that is always doing that stuff online. And I just like her. I just like him. And they answer my questions and I just feel more comfortable. People still do business with who they know and who they like. If push comes to shove, you know, and they're quite frankly willing to spend a little bit more to do so, incrementally more. So if you want to keep those margins, if you want to be able to hold that value, these are the type of things you need to do. So they're more educated, so it's easier to close, and they're sold more on you because they feel like they've already gotten to know you. Okay, I can't tell you how many times my customers will tell me, hey, man, I got a call the other day. They said, I've already seen most of your videos. I don't need you to explain anything more to me. I just have a question about this one thing, or will you answer this? I'm ready to go. And we're starting to get people that says, by the way, if this project goes well, do you want to do a testimonial with me? I'd love to be on one of your videos. So that's kind of mind blowing when that happens, which is great. Got a couple of comments. Hey, David, thanks so much for jumping in. Yeah. A couple of things he brought up. He said, able to multiply yourself in business across David's a great example of a success story where we have taken his business, it's really starting to grow incrementally because we've gone in and captured what he does so easily and effortlessly. And so there's only so much of him to go around. So the ability to get him to look into the camera on his free time and just pick a topic and say, let me talk to you about peripheral neuropathy, which, the average person's going, huh? But when you're dealing with severe chronic pain, it's a big deal. So he's able to look in the camera and just talk because he's done the talk a million times. He does it every day with every patient, but there's only so much of him to go around. And so he's able to do that. And then we can take that content into lots of different platforms. He goes on to say this approach allows you to work while you sleep and when you're on vacation. Absolutely. Well, you want to have the ability to, whether you've trained your people to talk and communicate like you do, but more importantly, they get a piece of you. So it's the closest thing we have to cloning until we start cloning. We'll be doing some of that. David, thanks again. As people get educated, the people watching will start and want what you have 100%. So don't take it just from me. Take it from David Bradley, who is an excellent chiropractor in the HEB area, doing some really cool stuff with neuropathy, stem cells, regenerative medicine, just a lot of amazing stuff. Be sure to give activehealthcare.us check out. Thanks, bud. Good to hear from you. So let me put a visual in your mind. And I probably don't have to, but I just want to remind you, you think you're talking directly to somebody, but this is probably what they're doing, even when they're talking to you, even when they're in your office, even when they're in your showroom. And so we've got to come to grips with this reality. Okay. So how do we get in front of them? What do we put in front of them? How do we not fight against the stream? How do we get in their lane to where we're getting their notice, to where it's meaningful enough for them to look up and see us and see what we have to offer, and to engage with us. Okay. So let me give you some stats here that I think will be great for you, because you may be wondering, and this is just, things are happening so fast. This is January of 22. So we're about to be, this is about to be old, but the numbers that we had are, this is time spent on these social media apps. Okay. So we're looking at, and by the way, this is not independent. These are overlapping. Most people are doing both. They're spending, in this case, 24 hours a month on YouTube and spending another 20 hours on Facebook, as well as these other apps. So it's overlapping. So we're getting to the point where we're doing a couple of hours a day on these platforms. Okay. And then we want to know, what are they doing on those? So what we're seeing more and more of, and that's video consumption. Now you're saying, well, that's them watching stupid cat videos. Yeah, we've been guilty of that to a certain extent, but the numbers are showing us that those people that are watching video, over 90% are on YouTube. Okay. That's crazy. That's insane. And that doesn't even, I mean, you're talking the younger generation on some of the social media platforms, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the, whatever you feel about some of those, your demographics are somewhere in there, and the key is to find them. But what's interesting, and I want you to take away from this slide, is what they're looking at. Yeah, they're watching cat videos. Yeah, they're watching music videos, but 30% or more are watching educational videos. That's how we're getting our education. That's how we're learning. They're looking at product reviews, and they're looking at influencers. And what I'm saying is, you want to basically, if you draw a Venn diagram, you want to overlap to where you're educating, okay, while you're doing a product review or a service review, while you're becoming an influencer. And the goal down the end of this road is to become more and more of a subject matter expert. You're looked at as a leader in your industry, and therefore people want to buy from you. Okay. It's as simple as that. But the numbers are staggering. Okay. And they're even bigger now than they were then. So again, it's as if you're probably feeling sometimes like I do sometimes. I feel like I'm on the outside looking in. It's, if you're a fisherman at all and you're looking at the radar and you see where the fish are, they're there, but getting there's I feel like sometimes I'm sitting over here on the right where there's just nothing happening. And I know it feels like there's this feeding frenzy. I'm seeing my competition. I'm seeing the other businesses just killing it over here. And as you can see, there's more and more people coming in the pipeline every day. And so how do I get from being over here on the sidelines, on the outside looking in, to being in that feeding frenzy, to where my business is actually multiplying on top of itself and I'm not having to multiply myself? How do I get there? And I'm here to say that a consistent brand, your uniqueness, your story told in a professional way, in a repetitive fashion, when it's easy to get to, is what builds customers, what builds loyalty, which builds a business, which builds a brand, and it continues to cycle on top of itself. Okay. So with that, as we start to kind of wind down, again, I'll stick around if you've got any questions. You can email me at any point if you want to. I'd love to talk with you. Put my email up here in a second, but I want to leave you with another little carrot. And what this is this may be on your mind right now. This may not be something you've thought about, but I know you've done enough living and you've talked to enough people that you've seen other people like yourself that have taken this exponentially. And you're like, well, what is it about these people? I'm hearing these people are going online and they've started a YouTube channel. I mean, I'm not talking about being, some kid that reviews toys, a 10-year-old kid, and he's making 7 figures. But in this case, I get a lot of practitioners, chiropractors, dentists, doctors that say, there are guys in Paducah, Kentucky that are making bank, just doing videos. It can be done. The big question is, can it be monetized? Can I cover, these expenses? Because it's going to take some time and effort to get the ball rolling. I would answer that and say cautiously, yes. I mean, it can definitely happen. The case study I have there is a guy that's done, I think, over 400 videos over the course of a year or so, which it sounds daunting at first, but again, if you just sit down, I mean, you take a 1 hour webinar, sometimes you can get 2 or 3, sub videos out of that. You can definitely get shorts out of it. But if you were to sit down and look at what you do in your business, you'd be surprised at how many videos you can get. You'd be surprised how easy it would be to create 10 minutes, 20 minutes, these videos, that sweet spot on YouTube, in between appointments at the end of the day, or pick one day and then pick an area of your office and say, I'm going to get a tripod, I'm going to get a camera, and I'm going to get a little cheap mic, $20 from Amazon. And I'm just going to hit record. And then I have somebody to give it to say, do something with this. Take this and make it look great. And we can have a discussion on how great it looks, how much production value we want to have. It all just comes down to time. And the tools are getting easier and easier for guys like us to make you look fantastic. But it's very doable. It's more doable now than it's ever been. Okay. At some point, depending on your niche, depending on the content, depending on your longevity, it can be monetized. Now, let me take that a step further. There's becoming a YouTube channel and YouTube sensation to where YouTube is paying you, because at some point you've got enough viewers and their algorithm has said, we're going to push this guy. Unfortunately, we're not. The way this works is we are beholding to the algorithm. But if let's set the rewind machine. Let's go back to the 80s and the 70s, where we had 3 networks and 4 cable and all that kind of stuff. I guess we're talking the 60s and 70s. But basically, we had less channels and everything had to go through. And so it was really how much money you put down. How much money does it cost to get on the Super Bowl? Well, now we've got influencers on social media and on YouTube and these platforms like Twitch, where we are broadcasters now. Okay. I want you to begin thinking of yourself in a certain amount of terms that you have content that needs to be broadcast. You can have your own show, and they are looking for that. They have become the networks. You are the content makers. You are the video producers. You are the people that said, hey, let's sit down and create a show called 60 Minutes and let's have great content and interview people. And the networks are going to pay us big bucks because they can sell advertising. Okay. I know this may be Captain Obvious again, but you've got to think of yourself in those terms, because you're trying to get your customers, and the tables have turned and we are the broadcasters now. Companies like us can help you do that. You could do it yourself. Hey, I could go to Lowe's and Home Depot and build my own home. I could be a home builder. I don't have the skills. I don't have the experience. I don't know how to use the tools. Okay. So that hadn't changed. And by the way, sidebar, if you're terrified of AI, there's certainly things to be concerned about. I would say just be more, it's just like anything. When the heart surgeon, the brain surgeon, sat there and somebody came in and said, this is a laser and it makes it easier for people to cut and do things, I don't think the brain surgeon freaked out, because you still need a brain surgeon. And we will still, as AI progresses, we need to be mindful of things that can be replaced. Again, we're all replaceable. But what can't be replaced is you and who you are and the experiences you've had and the information you have. So think about that. Be mindful of that as you feel like when you start to think about what your brand is, what your story is, and what you would broadcast. So let me land the plane. If you get enough audience, you can get paid by YouTube. You can get paid by these platforms. But there are a couple other ways to monetize, okay? Again, if you got a good enough audience and they were deep enough, maybe they're not wide enough, maybe it's not 1 million, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 300, maybe it's 1,000, but they're real deep and they're real passionate and they watch all the time and they comment and they share, and you build a community. You can go to your vendors and say, hey, Mr. Vendor, I'm happy to make you a sponsor of my show. I need you to help me offset these costs. You can double down and say, hey, Mr. Vendor, I want to have you on my show. I want to do a video where I interview you and you talk about your amazing product, your pill, your machine, your product that I take and use in my business. And I mean, I can do it all day. A floor covering guy. Hey, I want to bring in my tile guy. I want him to talk about the uniqueness of this tile. Hey, I'm a chiropractor and I do this amazing cold laser. I want to bring in the rep for my cold laser device and talk about the benefits and answer questions directly. Hey, I'm creating the most amazing hydrofoil for pontoon boats. I'm going to bring in my partner who helped us do the design work and explain how unique that is. That's value. And that's value that other people don't have. Okay. So at some point there's a value to that. And so you could either monetize it by charging, to get to those people, anything that makes sense with your brand. I mean, you want to be mindful. You want to be a very trustworthy gatekeeper of those people and that information, but it's a value. I have no problem getting an ad. I got a bunch of, webinars and podcasts that I subscribe to that I check on when they go live or when they drop a show. I have no problem them saying, hey man, today's episode is sponsored by StreamYard, because I find out about a new piece of software that's amazing that can change my life. I am happy to hear that, as long as it's not obnoxious and as long as they're not, pimping me. I'm in. I'm supportive of that kind of stuff. That's how the economy works. So you could use that as a revenue stream. Maybe you look to offset your costs. Maybe you look at it as another source of revenue. There's a lot of ways we could explore that. So you don't have to necessarily say it's 1 million viewers or bust. And if you're going to ask me how many viewers, how many subscribers, that number changes. I think roughly now it's around 10,000 before YouTube will monetize you. And even then, it depends on how much. But yes, there are people making money. Yes, there are people making good money. I would say, like anything, tap the brakes for every video that comes along from the housewife who's selling stickers on Etsy, who claims to be making 7 figures a year on their YouTube channel. Really? But that's to answer that question. Can it be monetized? So basically, we've gone on a journey today. I hope you walk away from this feeling like you've got something of value. I want to leave you with some of those thoughts about kind of the big picture, where we're looking at trying to create more leads with less of your effort. We want to be able to leverage that technology, and we really want to increase the value of your business. And I think that can be done. I think it can be done specifically with the power of video. Hopefully I've made a compelling case that it's something you ought to think about, especially as you enter into the new year, or maybe even before this year's out. Maybe you want to go in and do something similar to, doing those quick videos to where, hey man, I would love to set up my camera and have somebody help me, make sure I get the lighting right and the audio right. And I mean, literally on that product there, we connected online, just like a Zoom call. And I helped the customer get everything staged and lit and prepped, and I hit record, and he would just talk. And then I'd pause and go, okay, let's do it again, but say this. Hey, let's do it again, but you've got something on your lip. Hey, do this again and say it differently. Hey, do this again. What if you did? And a lot of times I'm coaching from the perspective of the viewer. Hey, that confused me. Say it a different way. Hey, I want to know more about that. So you've got a sounding board, and it's going to come out good, so that we get better content. And then we go in and chop it up and add some footage, some B-roll, either that you have or that we can find on the internet. And just like that, we've got a quality piece of content that, for very little money can then go out there and you can put on your existing YouTube channel. You can put on your Facebook. You can send out, we even talked about email. A lot of you guys are sitting on email lists that are just, collecting dust. And yes, email is getting less and less, moving the needle less and less in this, because we're all getting inundated. But it still has a huge value. Again, it's like the billboard. You may drive by it 1 million times. You're still going to sit down. We all sit down and go through our email, and we go delete, 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 delete. Save. Delete, 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 delete. Hey, so and it goes in there, and it's there. If nothing else, it's like driving by that billboard because it's that subject line that says blank. So I at least know there are people I don't unsubscribe from. I do not unsubscribe from because I know I want to know about when they do something meaningful. So that when it comes up and says, we're running a half off sale, we're offering free shipping, it reminds me. I mean, I get stuff now I'm getting them every day, which is a little much of a beating. And we're going to get more of that because of AI. But I think that, let me pull this down. We're going to get more and more of that because AI is going to be doing it for us. That's the bad news. The bad news is we're all going to have these bots and they're already doing it. But basically you're just getting spammed to death 24/7. But it is helpful and it is moving the needle some because, again, if you can automate it to a certain extent, it's staying in front of people and it lets them know, hey, you're running a special. Hey, you're having a webinar. Hey, there's a coffee talk. Whatever it is, I want to know. A lot of times I'll save them so that then it becomes a bit of a reference. If you're like me, I'll go back to my email and my search and go, I'll type in that company name and boom, now I've got everything they've sent me for the last 3 months. And I like it that way. And I think a lot of people are that way. So I'm rambling a little bit. Let me just double check and see if there's any other comments. Okay. Hey, Ryan says, hey, Ryan, what's up, man? How important is it to keep a regular cadence in producing content? That's a great question, Ryan. I alluded to the algorithms before. Well, caveat, depends on what you're trying to do. Okay. This doesn't mean, oh my gosh, I'm committing forever. You know, as soon as I step over that line, now I've got one more thing to keep up with. I'm going to have to do this forever. I want to recommend that you don't fall prey to that because quite frankly, the world's changing so fast. What we're doing now may change in 3 to 6 months. So what I'm a believer in and what every guru is telling me and what I'm experiencing in the market is you do what's best this week and this month. You plan yourself monthly. You know, you certainly budget and plan annually, and then you plan monthly and you say, you know what, I'm going to do this for 90 days. In fact, a lot of times I'll do a deal with a customer just for 90 days to see how it goes for both of us. And that way we can pivot. Usually what happens is we'll do something and then we'll up it. But let me get back to Ryan's question. It is very important. The algorithms are looking for, I mean, let's face it. Think of it a little bit from their perspective. They're in the mutual fund business. They've opened the doors and they've said, anybody that wants to create content, come on. And it could be a 10-year-old kid who can play the guitar with his feet, who's going to end up having a ton of people and he's going to release videos every day, to somebody else who is a big fancy business and they put a bunch of production into one video and they only put one up once a year, once a quarter. And let's face it, that happens all the time. Again, that's still old school thinking that says, if I build it, they will come. The mantra now is you've got to produce it in volume to get them to care. Okay. So what we've been told, the way the models and the algorithms are now, is they're looking for regular, consistent producers of content. So I'm telling all my clients, and the word on the street based on what YouTube and I'm doing right now, I'm doing LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay. That'll get you a long way. And with LinkedIn, with Facebook, you can add Instagram. Excuse me. But I picked the day and I said, I'm going to do this at noon every Wednesday. And so that's what we're doing with our other customers. We're saying, okay, we're going to do webinars or podcasts once a week on this day at this time. And we try our best to stick to that. And we found that gets the attention at some point, some nebulous point. I wish I could tell you exactly. It was 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. It kicks in and says, these guys, think about it. They're looking for people that are in it for the long haul, that they can, if they're going to point their search engine results, if they're going to point their algorithm, they're going to point it to somebody. They're betting on a pony and they're saying this guy or this gal is going to keep doing this, and they're going to keep investing in their craft. Hey, when I'm trying to pick a software platform, one of my top things is, are they going to stick around? Are they going to keep developing for it? Or am I going to subscribe and pay for an annual plan, and they throw it out there and they make a bunch of money, and then they go on somewhere else. So they flip it and sell. I'm looking for a company that's in it for the long haul that I can get a hold of and then I can grow with. To a certain extent, that's what these platforms are doing. So long answer to your question, Ryan. It is important to keep a cadence and to try to be as regular as you can. If you miss one, you miss one. What I counsel my clients to do, and what I'm doing in my own business, is, for instance, the holidays coming up. I'm trying to record enough to where if I need to, I can be 3 or 4 or 5 ahead. Now, you can't really do that as good with webinars that are real time, but where I'm going with this is plan ahead and maybe record an extra one. So you got 2 in the hopper, to where if you're going to go to the Bahamas, that webinar is still running at noon on Wednesday. Okay. And we haven't even talked about the ability to run pre-recorded webinars. We're seeing more and more of that, where you actually record a webinar and you do it on a Monday and you don't run it till the next Friday, but people watch it live. And you could even have somebody as a moderator in the chat room. Think about it. As long as the information is still relevant and evergreen, you don't really care whether I'm doing this live now or I did it a day ago or a week ago. I could be, in Florida right now. As long as you're getting the information on your time schedule and you have the ability to get your question answered, you're happy. Okay. So again, back to your business, you could record something and then you could leave town, go to a conference, go on vacation, and say, all right, Sue, I'm going to be out of town. I need you to log in at this time and watch the comments. And you know all the answers. You're my receptionist. you're the person answering our questions on YouTube. You're our webmaster, whatever it is. Whoever you feel comfortable, you could put someone in charge and say, your job is to be there while that webinar is running. And when they ask a question, you answer them. Engage with your audience. So yeah, I think it's important to keep a regular cadence. So that's a great question, Ryan. Thanks so much for throwing that out there. Okay. Well, again, thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Again, please give it a thumbs up. I know the algorithms love the thumbs up. And if you need to get a hold of me at any point, or someone from our little company, you can email me at cgaines@ETW Creations. What else? There have been some people that have asked me, I love to pass on, great tidbits on gear and tech and stuff like that. There's lots of platforms out there. You might be successful using, Zoom for your webinars and your Zoom calls and stuff like that. There's a lot of different platforms out there. For what I'm doing, I'm using one called StreamYard right now. I've tried several, and there's a couple out there similar. But man, you can not only, I replaced my Zoom. I do Zoom calls on this. I do webinars on this. I do live chats. I just use it to record instructional videos. It's replaced a bunch of, if you're like me, you've got, it's a full-time job keeping up with your monthly subscriptions. And so you're always having to figure out, am I using this app? Can I get rid of this app? So I recommend StreamYard for stuff like this. So some people ask me that. I'm not getting anything for that, but I recommend you do that. One other thing I'd ask you a question is, take this video, take this link and share it. The purpose of me doing this is to have this to where it can be easily shared with other small business people like yourself. So if you've got, you're part of some sort of mastermind, or you're in a regular group of peers, please pass this on. We're looking to add a couple more clients in our business, and I'm always looking to pass on. I want to be a good community member of what's going on, and it helps sharpen me. So I'm looking to connect with people. We got a lot of cool things going on right now. And as the year wraps up, we look into next year, we want to decide who do we want to do business with and who do we want to help out. So again, thank you so much for your time. It's been great here to be with you guys. Thank you all that participated in the chat rooms and whatnot. But I want to let you know we'll be here next week. Again, if you want to tell people about what we're doing here, I'll probably do a similar type presentation, might change it up a little bit, but this is the message that I'm trying to get out. So thank you again so much for your time, and have a great day. Go out and get lots of leads, build your brand, man. Take care.